ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Mickey 17. But of course, before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by Nerve Gas Nathaniel 19.
I'm back. I had to. Justin was sitting in my seat earlier. I had to kick him out and throw him off my balcony here in Back Row HQ. He got in somehow. I don't know, but someone gave him a key or something. He said he was trying to return the recorder to me, but I already knew you had given me the recorder earlier, so that's how I knew he was just trying to sneak his way in here. Blake, you might want to watch out. Foley might be coming towards your place here soon as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I'm doing. Trying to replace me. Gone for 1 week. I see how it is, and you guys pull in a couple of ringers.
Once you get a taste of the pod, it's hard to go back. It's
true.
Your life
I heard them at the end.
Your life post pod.
I heard them at the end saying how fast it went. We know. We've been in here in these trenches from the start.
Word on the street was Ryan was attempting to go under a very controversial pigment augmentation to take Blake's spot.
He was playing a guy who was playing a guy, right?
I almost said
that's funny.
What is his name in that? Because I nearly said he went full Chip Skylark, which is the pop star from Fairly Odd Parents.
God, Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
God, what a name!
Dude,
that's a vault.
That's a pull.
You unlocked real memory.
Heard. Yeah,
yeah.
But
Holy shit!
What is his name in Tropic Thunder?
Kurt Lazarus. Yeah.
Not Chip Skylark. Damn.
Chip Skylark.
Wow.
Sorry there,
Such
guys.
a pull, dude.
Yeah, sorry.
I remember
I haven't come back. I haven't come back to reality. I'm still like living in Very Odd Parents.
I went for a joke and broke reality there. Broke the fabric of time and space for a moment there for us.
You really did.
I was gonna say, do you guys remember where they had the universe like merge between them and Jimmy Neutron?
Jimmy Power Hour.
Yeah, what a crazy
dude, that was
crazy crossover.
Yeah, for sure, man. Even the animation, they had the opposite characters in another animation. It was like groundbreaking for sure.
I know, that was kind of nuts. That was the.
If you think about the MCU got really set the tone in the Jimmy Power Hour by Nickelodeon back in 2003.
Yeah, honestly, you really don't have Endgame without Jimmy Neutron Power Hour.
Yeah, there is no multiverse
connects.
if it wasn't for Jimmy Neutron.
Really, truly ahead of its time.
At least those shows ended on top,
Yeah.
We're just fucking digging ourselves a bigger hole with the
Is Fairly Odd Parents one of the greatest like cinematic feats in the history?
There, man.
I don't know.
I think that's our prompt of the day.
I think that if you guys would be surprised how long the Fairly Odd Parents ran as well too. Like I think there was like two children that the Fairly Odd Parents themselves had by the end of it or something like that. Like I'm gonna say it was like
right now
2010s, like 2015, 16 maybe.
10 seasons. 2001.
The last episode,
10
2017.
aired in 2017. Wow.
Oh my God.
I think they brought it back for like one season on Paramount Plus when that released or something like that originally.
Jesus Christ.
Got it.
All right, here's one for you.
Crazy.
How many Fairly Odd Parents characters can you name right now without looking at a lineup?
Cosmo.
I'm going to Nathaniel first.
Cosmo, Wanda, Timmy Turner.
Yep.
Timmy Turner's internet. Vicky.
Yeah, yep, that is one. The babysitter, yeah.
Mom and Dad.
We'll give it.
Is Vicky his sister or his crush?
No, his babysitter.
No, Vicky was the babysitter.
Vicky, bro. Chip Skylark.
Did he have a sister?
Yep.
Dinkelberg.
What was
That's the neighbor.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
What was the Go ahead. I
I'm
won't
trying to
spoil
think
it.
of the-
You're already this far.
I'm trying to think of the
spoil anything
big
for you.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger dude. Like his name was
That's
like
what I was about to
Jorgen or
ask.
something. Jorgen.
You do have that right though. It's Jorgen von Strangle. You're sick.
The other guy.
Oh,
I was
man.
thinking about the
The
Crimson
superhero
Chin.
guy. The
Yeah.
Crimson Chin.
Oh,
Yep.
Crimson Chin. Yeah, for sure.
Crimson
Yeah.
Chin.
But I can't remember the teacher's name. The crazy teacher that.
I'll
Oh,
always
that's,
remember it because I had a childhood friend with this last name. So that's easy for me to remember. I'm going to see if anybody else can guess it, though.
It's Mr. Something.
I know what
right?
it is.
Mr. No Fairies. I can't remember.
No, I know what it is. So if nobody else knows, then
don't.
Blake can just say it.
It's Crocker. Mr.
Yeah.
Crocker.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Mr. Crocker. Wow.
That's
Okay, so
funny.
sorry for that devolution there, guys, for bringing up Chip Skylark and talking.
We have a
fairly-
lot to get to. All right, we can't be derailed.
Yeah, my bad.
This early on. Also joining us today is Macaroon Ty, Tyler 27.
Macaroons. Man, 27 times, huh?
Yeah, felt a little high, but I was like, I don't know. What
My
I
birthday,
wanted to
so
do
that's
a,
fine.
Yeah, it was
I wanted to do a T number, but I guess I could have done 12, but like that seemed
2?
low, so I just went to.
Did you
27.
pick? So you just picked 27, like out of nowhere?
Yeah, I was just like that works.
Oh, that's crazy. That's like
gonna
mine
let-
and Leah's like collective like
gonna
favorite
say,
number.
that's
'cause
true.
those
Oh,
are
well,
both our
awesome.
birthdays,
All right,
yeah.
cool.
No, nice.
Well, then that works. That was random. I didn't really think about that ahead
Dude.
of time.
You're a genius.
I know, dude. You're welcome.
Songbird of our time.
a real trailblazer.
voice.
Stupid. Rounding out the squadron, also joining us again this week. Missed last week. It's Big Sauce Blake. Blake number 8.
Hey, how'd you get 8 by chance?
I don't know. There's obviously I usually try to do the alliteration, but there's no like number that begins with B.
Slant
to my
rhyme.
understanding.
You got the
and I was
got
like,
the mid rhyme of the A.
oh,
Yeah.
there you go, that too. But I was like a B or an 8 kind of looks like a B.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
Blake number 8. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I will. I'll give you some lore on that, right? Of why I asked. So, my childhood home, the address to that is one of the odd addresses you can come across.
Mhm.
It's one number,
Oh,
and it's 8.
so you lived right next to the dividing street then.
No, we were the third house.
Okay, but that was
Yeah.
that was the next street on your block.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it was 8. So when you said 8, I was like, oh man, Adam's cooking.
I am cooking, dude. I am. I
impressive.
maybe
What was-
maybe I do have some.
What
kind
was
of
my number?
I need to play the lotto.
I missed my number.
19.
19.
Trash.
Any connection,
Born
dumb fucking
In
number.
the 1990s.
dude? I'm on it. I didn't even know
Whoa,
that.
dude.
That's great. That's crazy.
I was 19
Um,
once.
There you go.
364
For just one
days.
day?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say just one time. Gentlemen, I would love to stick around in this intro to the podcast, but we've already gotten off on one fairly odd parents tangent, and we do have more than one review to kind of get to today. We are going to make up for our lack of our review on Last Breath last week. So we're going to start off with our quick thoughts, just go around, not really do spoilers, but just do everybody's quick thoughts on the movie, and then we are going to give it a quick ranking. Since we have all seen the movie and feel like we can put it up on the Entropy list. Nathaniel, I don't know if this was your
This was my pick.
movie suggestion.
Your suggestion.
Okay,
yeah,
this was your
yeah.
pick.
It wasn't a pick, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
But there was
Yeah, it
nothing
was more
else
of like a
new in
proposal.
theaters. Yeah, and said, hey, this might be
Yeah.
a good option. Because I'd heard the story. I knew the story
Yes, he
of this one
he had
ahead
heard
of
of it.
time on a podcast. I then watched the documentary that the same director did before this. And then I saw this in theaters, I guess a week or so ago. And I had a good old time with this one. It was more crowded in my theater than I expected. There's probably 10 to 12 people in there as well, too, which doesn't sound like a lot. But for a movie this big, like,
Right.
I mean,
When you're in the small theater at Barrington,
right,
that's
yeah.
half the theater.
Right, exactly. So it was interesting, glad to see it. I had a pretty good time with it. Small cast, small movie. Feels like, knows what it is. Overall, would I recommend the movie or the documentary? I'd probably lean towards the documentary, but I mean, it's tough, like, when you got a great story to not see how many, like, play it out as you can, right? So yeah, I had a great time with it overall. Obviously an incredible story. If you don't know anything about it, maybe don't listen too much to the episode, but if we can sell you on watching the documentary or the movie, I would definitely encourage that. But yeah, big old recommend for me. I like Last Breath. I'm like obsessed with deep sea diving right now. It's just on my mind because of it. I'm reading a book called The Deep at the moment, which also takes place down at like the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Oh,
Yeah, it's wild.
scary place.
It's wild. So, Tyler, your thoughts?
Excuse me. As far as movie and doc go, we did Leah and I, we watched both. We watched the doc before we went into the movie. The movie, for me, I think I'm probably going to be a not recommend, just for the sole fact that this is one of those movies I think is just as enjoyable in the house than it is in the theaters. You do not need to go out of your way to watch this. And in fact, if anybody were to ask me what to watch, I'm absolutely recommending the doc over the movie. The doc was sensational, in my opinion. It was just probably one of the greatest docs I've watched in a long time. So yeah, it's obviously, same director, but two very different vibes, and you do have to embellish on some things when you're doing a movie, so I understand that. And but yeah, I would say I had a pretty good time with it overall. It was nice because obviously we watched a movie that my wife would want to go see, so that's always a big plus. And especially watching the doc beforehand, she was ridiculously invested into seeing what the movie was going to be like. So if you want her thoughts on it, let me know. I'll fill you in, but they're pretty much the same as mine. So decent movie. Had a fine time with it. But yeah, I would say watch the doc over the movie. So like I said, I'll probably be a not recommend, just for the sole fact that, like I said, just wait for this thing to come to the house. It's not anything you need to go out of your way and watch. So Blake, what'd you think?
Yeah, similar to you, I was able to see this with my partner. So movie that's definitely palatable to the masses, right? So but went in blind, didn't really know what it was about. I knew it was about a deep sea diving incident for the most part, but didn't know which one it was. So as the film kind of starts going, and it's quick, it's only like a 90-minute runtime. But when the first maybe 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, I think I know which one, which deep sea diving incident this is based on. And I was incorrect, right? So this was definitely a new take to me. Maybe not new take, because it actually is real life event, but a new opportunity for me to learn something, right? That being said, I mean, yeah, I like it. The tension's there. It's quick though, and I want to always harp on how long movies are these days. I do think this is one that probably could have done a little better if we had got another maybe 15, 20, 25 minutes of tension in there in the middle, because it's a lot of kind of build up to the plunge, right? And then they're down there, they're steering ships around, for lack of a better term, and then capture the guy, and that's kind of it. You know what I mean? But granted, it's based off a real story, so it's hard to really say what they could have changed about that. But it would have been nice to get a little more tension when they're trying to find the lost scuba diver, quote unquote.
Did you watch the doc?
I did not watch the doc.
So
no.
I'll recommend that you and Haley go watch the doc.
Okay.
Just for the sole fact that it's Oops, sorry, I accidentally muted. It's literally about the same time as far as runtime goes. They're both about an hour and a half, and the
Okay.
doc does a significantly better job at building suspense and kind of giving you a better rundown of like what was happening in like the meantime without doing what the movie did.
Right.
So,
Okay. So yeah, what's the doc on?
I couldn't find it on anywhere. I'd rent it on YouTube. It was like $3.99.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought it on
Yeah,
Apple
so-
TV. I think it was $6, but I think it's worth it.
Okay.
I'm gonna
I'll give it a shot. I like the story, so
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Adam, can we do brief spoilers real quick? Or I know you haven't.
I
reviewed.
mean, if you want,
I was just
Well,
gonna.
Well, Adam, what did you think? Let's get his thoughts. And then
Yeah,
we can
sorry.
kinda-
yeah, I enjoyed it. Had a good time. Thought it was really well made and a good looking movie, especially. Shooting underwater like that is and the lighting and everything that they went with was pretty interesting to see. I don't know, that added to the movie as a whole. Definitely a cool story. I've not watched the documentary. I do intend to at some point, because I would love to see kind of the backstory around everything. But yeah, man, I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty good. Nothing really like blew me out of my seat. I agree with Blake on the tension aspect. It is a little tough because well, it's a little bit of a spoiler stuff, but it's tough when you have the time aspect of it mixed in. We're
Right.
like, yeah, I think there could have been more tension involved, but also like if you're trying to match the pace of like the true events that they're portraying, then it's like hard to kind of, where do you draw the line of like, all right, well, this is a movie at the end of the day, but we're trying to
Right.
portray a real story. So hard to kind of balance that a little bit. So I could tell the actor or the director was trying to mix those two a little bit more. But we can do I'm a recommend. Kind of along the lines of Tyler, like I'm a recommend, but like, do you need to rush to the theaters to see this? Probably not. You could get the same level of enjoyment probably at home. But I did enjoy it. But we can do spoilers for a few minutes. So we're gonna do that. If you've not seen Last Breath and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead and check out the description. I've left a timestamp you can jump to, where you'll be taken to the beginning of our next review. Or actually, we'll take to the ranking of Last Breath on our entropy list. We'll do that. Nathaniel, what do you have to talk about?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to. There was one thing I wanted to say, which was couldn't go into it without spoiling, but like one of the differences and one of the things I think was interesting, which Adam and I talked about a little bit when we saw each other the other day, was when he gets cut loose from the ship the first time and he lights the flare. In real life, he didn't have a flare. It was pitch black. He just got completely cut off, and he was just alone at the bottom of the sea with no one else around him. And he just happened to he got completely lucky that he felt the structure in front of him and then climbed to the top, basically.
Yeah,
but you
started
can't
walking and just like felt it in front of him, and he was like, "I can't believe I walked in the right direction."
Yeah, right.
But you can't. I was like, when we were watching, I was like, "Oh shit, you can't show that because it will literally just be pitch black." Like you kind of have to have the flare kind of thing as well too. So yeah, I think the documentary is better. I think it's always a better. It's really interesting seeing the portrayal and the differences of the guys in the documentary to their counterparts in the movie, because I think while Simu Liu does a good job, the real Dave is just a much more interesting character.
For sure.
Because he's kind of portrayed as like this kind of like Iceman, but like in the show he kind of just comes off as maybe like a little bit more on the spectrum, but also like a little bit more kind of like, I don't know, he's just a little bit more of a different guy, and you can tell he just kind of just reacts a little bit differently than everyone else. But yeah, I think that's like a really interesting dynamic that's there and present in the documentary from early on that you don't quite get the same way. But yeah, I would definitely encourage checking it out. I still think I'm a recommend on the movie itself. I think that for me, the big moment, like there is a moment at the end where they come out back at the end, and I had a similar feeling that I remembered having the first time I saw the movie Gravity, which was like just an appreciation of like how far the characters had like come in a physical distance over time, and just being like, damn, I can't imagine being like 2 hours ago being at the bottom of the ocean alone, about as far as I could ever be from another human being, and then all of a sudden I'm up surrounded by people on crewmates, and like in 3 hours, like 12 hours, I'll be back on land again with like another humans and that kind of thing.
He had to sit in that. They had to desaturate for 3 days.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. They had to desat as well too. So yeah, I can't imagine like that dude,
it'd be crazy.
That guy's brain's got to be a wild place to like live the rest of your life in now as well too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one of the more touching things was like when he actually, like when you get the interview in the dock with the medic, and he was like, it just brought him to tears like immediately, because he was just like, the emotion that he just grabbed his hand, and he was just like it's okay, like I died. It's
not bad. Yeah. Anyways,
I did think it was an odd choice to give the guy basically like a fro versus making
he's
casting
bald.
somebody that's bald. I'm like, what the fuck?
There's a couple differences that are interesting. The other one being the heliox, which is like a pretty crucial point, like the gas that they breathe in the documentary. Go ahead, Tyler.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, in the documentary, they talk about it because like they breathe it in, and they're like, it actually changes your voice. It gives you helium voice.
Of course.
And they're like, and it's like that forever. So like for the 28 days that they're down there, they have the like Mickey Mouse helium voice basically. So in the documentary, you see and hear them all talking in that like little voice. And like I think the Duncan character talks about it, and he's like, yeah, for the first 10 minutes it's hilarious, and then like it just wears off and you're just doing your job again. But yeah, it was very interesting to see them again not make that choice in the movie, which again, you don't want to have Woody Harrelson talking like Mickey Mouse for half the movie. I get it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you could have maybe like made it go higher for maybe a couple of minutes, and then and just with the assumption that it goes back to normal within time. But yeah, that was also an interesting choice. Just some certain things in there that I just didn't overly care for. The timing that they showed was a little off from the timing that they were showing on the dock. From like the time of how much air he had versus how much time he was down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the doc's way better.
But
yeah, I'll certainly have to give it a shot. Like I said, I enjoyed the film.
I don't want to kick it too
definitely
much.
enough to watch a doc. Yeah,
I don't want to kick it too much. I feel like if for a March movie where I wasn't expecting too much and just kind of like catching it, seeing like, oh, this is out in theaters. I like Woody Harrelson. I like Simu Liu. It's a good human interest story. I think it's worth checking out at some point. Definitely works well hand in hand with the documentary, though.
Yeah. I do want to touch on one thing, though, in terms of the crowd of the theater when I saw this. So to Nathaniel's point, I saw this, I want to say it was a Sunday afternoon. It was a decent-sized crowd.
Yeah.
For it, right? So I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of people actually kind of behind this, whether it's due to cast, whether it's due to knowing the original story.
Sure.
Right? But there was definitely a lot of things moving forward. So yeah, that was pleasant to see for a smaller film like this, per se, smaller in quotations.
Let's rank it. I'm going to rank it.
Yeah.
Rank it and spank it.
Welcome back, listeners, who skipped over our short spoiler segment. Ranking the movie on our Entropy list. If you don't know what the Entropy list is, it's how we rate movies. Essentially, you'll find out more about it later on in the episode. I don't want to do the whole spiel now, but Entropy list time for last
bit of sizzle for the Entropy list. So my initial thought was The Descent, i.e., small claustrophobic movie about people getting trapped somewhere. But that's all the way up at 111 nowadays. And there's some heavy hitters around there. Challengers, Barbarian, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. So then it kind of slipped down a little bit, and I was kind of like, yeah, it's a good time at the movies, but like, am I going to go to bat for it against some of these other guys on there? I ended up dropping it. I'm going to put it at 136. below Frozen, above Gladiator 2. Because Gladiator 2 kind of sits with me worse the more I sit with it.
Gladiator.
And there's some other ones around there that like I definitely think I think The Last Duel and Crank are probably better than this. But Adam's stupid and won't put him higher. So I'm gonna put it above Gladiator 2.
Where would you rank Adam on the entropy list?
I was gonna say I'd like ascribing Adam like all this power, like he controls the entropy list, like we don't all vote on it as well too. Yeah, that's where I am. 136, above Gladiator 2 and below Frozen.
Gladiator.
Yeah, solid ranking.
Is it Roseanne?
Roseanne Barr.
Solid ranking. I'm kind of in the same ballpark here, and honestly, I think one I want to slowly give more credit to over time. Pretty much two films in here. I think we need to give the creator some more flowers per se, right? With it being an original IP, there's so much fucking rewatched sci-fi bullshit we get year after year after year, and they came in and gave us an original story, as well as Die Hard being one of the best 80s action movies.
True.
I think that's my hard cap is going to be those two. So honestly, I'm going to go ahead and put it below Trick or Treat at 146. So it'll fall below The Creator, below Scream 2022, excuse me, Die Hard, Trick or Treat, and then we will fall Last Breath. So
down.
That's where I'm at.
So 146, you said?
Yeah, actually, let's do 147, pardon me, because 146 would be above Trick or Treat. So we will be 147. It'll be below Trick or Treat, above Shang-Chi.
All right, let's just put it with the other Simu Lee movie, apparently.
Where are you ranking it, bud?
Ty, do you have a spot?
I'm gonna be a smidge lower. Pretty much for all the same points that Blake said. You know, you do have The Creator, which is totally rewatchable. The fucking island rules. Die Hard, classic. Trick or Treat, you guys know how I feel about that. And then fucking dude, Pitch Black right there, dude. Are you crazy?
Yeah, right. I'm with you.
And then, you do have quite a bit of a fall off for me, at least, when you get down to Men and some of those other ones that are down there. But I think this will sit pretty well because it does have some of the. It's not a bad movie. I don't want to think that. It's just I think the fact that I saw the doc beforehand is obviously swaying my decision here because it is just better in my opinion. But as much as I don't want to put it above The Rock, there's a couple in there that I could switch back and forth. So I'm gonna put it right in between No Time to Die and Black Widow. So I'm gonna go at 151.
Fair enough. I guess I'm the lowest on this movie. I didn't think I was going to be, but I look at Blind Spotting and Blackening, and I'm like, those are just two movies I just enjoyed watching a lot. And they're a little low. And then you got VHS, Tenet, Notebook, and Insidious kind of up there. And I'm like, I don't really want to put this above those either. So I'm gonna go 168 below Blind Spotting, above the Blackening. I just don't feel like that's necessarily a terrible spot for it. Probably could be a little bit higher, but I think that's it's right off that. There's definitely a tier there jump between Blind Spotting and Ferrari, I feel like, and I think it kind of fits in that in between a little bit, for me at least. Gives us an average rating of 150.5. So we'll go at 151. What is that below? 151, below No Time to Die and above Black Widow. Decent spot at the end of the day, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
See.
151. Well, that's it for our abbreviated review of Last Breath. Let's get into our main review. Nathaniel, if the listener here is new, or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give a rundown of how our main review segment works?
If you couldn't put it together from the last review segment, it's broken into two sections. There's the non-spoiler, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself, who wrote it, who directed it, who's in it, all that good stuff that's on the IMDb page. We'll tell you about the IMDb summary. We'll go around and vote on the IMDb summary. Not really, but we'll go around the squadron and decide if we would recommend the movie, kind of like we did on the last one. Gonna be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. Adam, tell me about the movie Mickey 17.
I would love to. New movie. Although it wasn't filmed recently. This was filmed 3 years ago. I didn't realize. I knew it was somewhat delayed. I didn't realize it was quite that long of a post-production kind of journey to where we're at today. But new movie, of course, rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 17 minutes and an IMDb rating of 7.1 out of 10. This is directed and written by Bong Joon-ho and based on the novel by Edward Ashton that goes by the title Mickey 7. The cast includes Robert Pattinson in our lead role, Steven Yeun, and then this list gets out of order, which is very unfortunate for me, because it's kind of random. But I'll go through some of the more notable ones. We have Patsy Farron, Cameron Britton. Let's see if I can find the other important ones. Naomi Ackie, Toni Collette, Mark Ruffalo, of course.
Of course.
And Anna Maria Bartolome, I think is what I'm going to go with. Am I missing anyone else that anyone can think of off the top of their head? I think I've nailed the main ones.
Yep.
Okay. The IMDb summary reads as follows. Mickey 17, known as an expendable, goes on a dangerous journey to colonize an ice planet. All right. Gives me enough.
You a fucking colonizer.
Not what immediately came to mind for me personally, but I always appreciate
you know what?
a good K-Dot connection.
This movie was missing Kendrick. You're right. That's who I needed. On
Right.
On the
Yeah,
ship with
on the
us.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh, on the just on the ship.
I would have. Hey, if Kendrick 18 wants to hang out with me, I'm cool with that. I would consider it an honor.
18 Kendricks. Wow. Tyler, you read Mickey 7, yeah?
I did.
Can you kick us off here before we get into too much? Can you give us like your thoughts on the book and maybe give us just some thoughts on the book to movie comparison here? Some similarities, some differences that you noticed, maybe not too spoilery if possible. I don't know. But as the only person I think who's read the book, Nathaniel, have you read it?
He has not yet.
You have not. Okay. How are you feeling here? Kind of
I think
having known the source material.
I think I'm very I'm like a book snob now for this film in particular, and this is, you know, one of the times where I get to kind of, you know, be on the book side because I read it. So I will say the book is far superior to the movie. And again, I can't help but think that, you know, maybe it's because I read it before. I guess you never know if you read things before or after. But I think everyone who's read a book about a movie is always probably going to side with the book for the most part, just for the sole fact that you get so much more character development. There's just copious amounts of time that you kind of get to be with those characters and in that world, and there's just so much more description, and there's a lot more development that you can get with a book that you just sometimes don't get with a film. And for me, this was one of those times. And you know, there was some pretty odd choices. The sauce thing, I have no idea where that came from. There is no sauce in the book.
Sauce.
Yeah. So that's pretty
just
weird.
Bong cooking, man. Just let him cook, all right?
Yep. And then they kind of made some of the characters a little bit more standoffish than what I would say I would have kind of read them to be. or kind of maybe change their personalities a little bit more than again what I would have probably or I guess how I interpreted it from the read.
Sure.
But they changed some character names, like Kai's name is Kat in the book, not Kai. And there's just a little bit more there than what was on film. And then yeah, I guess that's kind of like my biggest gripe. When you do change some of the personalities of the people, it does kind of change the relationship that you kind of thought it was. Or, like I said, how I interpret it as from the read. So I will say that visually the movie's great. I think as we just kind of move on in advancements of film and, the visions of people, you're constantly going to get better. And it's really cool to be able to see, alien worlds and other creatures and such on screen that, look real. So that's always cool. And then, yeah, it's shot really well. I did enjoy the acting and, most of the writing, but, yeah, I'm going to side with the book here. The book's better. Go read the book. And as far as the movie goes, I'm probably going to be a not recommend for what the average
Really?
person is.
Okay.
I feel like if I recommended this movie to, some of the people that I know, they're going to kind of come off this thing and be like, the fuck did you show me? And it's no fault of the movie. And like I said, I think it's just, me being a little bit of a snob about the book, but that's where it comes from. And like I said, with the last the last breath we just talked about, there's obviously going to be some embellishment and some things you want to change, and that's just the film world versus the book world, or the doc world versus the film world, and just kind of is what it is. But yeah, I think I'd probably be a not recommend. I'll recommend the book, but yeah, I'd probably be a not recommend for the film.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of parallels between that and how most people feel about novel adaptations to films. So I guess I'll kind of jump in here as well. And funny enough, so I saw this. I actually caught it today, and while after the film, I go to the bathroom, and there wasn't a lot of people in the showing I was in, maybe 4 people. And there was a gentleman who was sitting a few rows in front of me. He goes to the bathroom too, and he strikes up the. So, what'd you think of the movie? As we're both at the urinal,
Oh man.
This guy's like, yeah, for sure. So this guy's like a carbon copy of like Robert De Niro, right? He's probably like 76. Nice guy,
yeah,
though.
Dude, hey, he's been pissing and talking to people his
for
whole
sure.
life.
Yeah, for sure. That guy's got hours logged right on that server.
Yeah, you're lucky
on the
that didn't
bathroom server.
that didn't open with nice dick. And then
Yeah,
just
right.
like,
Yeah. So that guy, he's like, oh, so what did you think of the movie? And then we say, yeah, we kind of shot the shit. And he said he read the novel as well. I was like, yeah, I've had a buddy who did, so I'll be able to pick his brain later tonight. But a lot of things you're saying, Tyler, he also echoed in terms of he's a bigger fan of the novel compared to the book. Compared to the film. We both kind of sat here and was like, hey, we did go in blind, so. Well, he read the book, but he didn't watch trailers or anything. I went in completely blind into this film, so I had no idea what this was about, to be fair. And yeah, I couldn't even begin to tell you what I thought the movie was going to be about. But I don't think them speaking to like insects-like creatures through a translator was going to be what I thought the film would be about, right?
For sure.
Like salvation of the world and looking at how we can just eradicate any species. And there's multiple layers to it, of course, as we all know. This director is very well for piecing those things together. But yeah, went in blind. I liked it. Is it as good of a film as Parasite? Absolutely not. Arguably, potentially more watchable than Parasite, more rewatchable than Parasite. It's kind of a lighter material, right, per se. And then obviously it goes without being said, you don't have to watch this one subtitled either, so a little bit more digestible in that regard. But yeah, overall it was cool. And when I say it's cool, that sounds like I'm kind of downplaying the film. I hear Tyler's statement of I think this would be hard to push on to most people, though. Right?
For
Right?
sure.
Like, I think you really got to be like a movie cinema head to be like, oh, I actually like this. I think most people, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And it even took me a while to figure out. I was like, okay, they're literally just, yeah, spoiler, right? But then once I figured that out, it's okay. I think I have an idea of where it's going to go. But long-winded answer of saying it's cool. I like it. Directing is great. Robert Pattinson is fucking awesome. We got another Robert Pattinson accent times like fucking 6 in this movie,
did.
which is really cool to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, there are some redeeming qualities of the film for sure that are like really cool that I didn't think I was signing up for when I walked into it. And I'll kind of leave it there till we get to spoilers. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'll round out the squadron on this one. I was positive on this one overall, but I felt like I had a good idea of what the movie was going to be going into it. Just because I felt like I had heard external stories about it and kind of the Hollywood gossip overall. And I've seen some of the other Bong Joon-ho movies. I've seen Okja and I've seen The Host. I've not seen Snowpiercer and I've not seen Memories of a Murder. But like as soon as the movie started, I too, well, just back up just a second. I too have the feeling of like this is a hard movie to recommend to quote unquote normies. Like it is very much a Bong Joon-ho film, which in my opinion is way outside of the normal like everyday movie going public's comfort zone. Like the grandmas and granddads that are going to see Last Breath and A Complete Unknown are not gonna sit through this one comfortably, right? That being said, I just had a great time with it. It felt like it felt very like very much a pastiche of several different sci-fi movies and like and brands and IPs, if you want to call it that, kind of put together. But again, given this like Bong Joon-ho skewed lens over it, I really think I think the studio thought they were buying Parasite 2, and then he showed up with this thing and they were like, what the fuck is this? And that like kind of explains well, I think there was the writer strike in between it, or the actor strike, but B, like also the kind of general reshoots and kind of odd tone to it overall. Yeah, like fuck it. Like I feel like it takes some swings. Like I don't necessarily agree with all the swings it takes. I don't agree that necessarily like anything is accurate or anything like that. But what it is definitely the vision of one dude and someone going out there and saying like, "Hey, this is my story. I'm telling it this way, and these people are going to be what will be." And it's satire, and like you can take from it what you will, but like that's it. And I feel like in a world where it's so often trying to just please everyone, it is kind of nice to have directors that are just like, I'm going to let my nuts hang on this one and like take from it what you will. But yeah, I don't know. It reminded me of a little bit of Starship Troopers. Reminded me of Starship Troopers by way of Studio Ghibli, if I was going to kind of describe it in one thing overall, where it's like super scattershot plot, but in a bunch of details to a wider world overall, where like I feel like you could spend hours playing in this like little setup that he's created and like have different stories going out, which I think the movie speaks to at different points. But overall I think it's just, it's just weird. It's fun. I'm glad it's out there. I had a good time with it. Yeah, I'm positive on it. I'm a recommend. Check out the book afterwards. Overall, I mean, I think, as Tyler alluded to, very rare is it that someone will say, "Hey, the book is worse than the movie." Like that's
For
almost
sure, yeah.
non-existent.
You just don't hear it.
So yeah, absolutely. But I do feel like this is very much a maybe more traditional Hollywood sci-fi story that's going through this very much funhouse mirror that is Bong Joon-ho and his directing style and sensibility. So
Yeah, I will say, I don't want to diminish the movie too much. I really do think that if I didn't read the book and kind of have that general sense of, where everything came from, I probably would be a little bit closer to the recommend side. I think that's really kind of the only thing. You guys obviously know my love for Starship Troopers. I did see, quite a bit of that as far as like the satire portion of it goes into it. And, this is... it just changed a lot of the relationships for me too, which I didn't really expect. So don't want to shit on it too much, but yeah, it's definitely, like I said, I get to be the book guy for once. So
Hell yeah.
suck eggs, Nathaniel.
I'm over here sucking eggs, getting my protein. It's cost me $15 for one egg. Getting my money's worth out of it.
I am a little surprised hearing all these takes, gentlemen. I loved this movie. I loved it.
You gave it a 4 on Letterboxd,
and I stand by it. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious. I've seen it twice. I should say that I saw it Saturday. Just the way things worked out, two different groups of people wanted to go, and I was just got A-list, so I was like, why not? Ended up seeing it twice.
Why not?
Enjoyed it.
A-list.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you tell them that? Did you tell your friends that?
Throw a stack of money in the air.
I mentioned it a few times here and there.
He didn't have to. He didn't have to mention it. They saw him ask for the ID when they went in, and they understood. They knew that they were in the presence.
Well,
it's either that or when you get up to concessions and you're in the other line.
Yeah,
and
there's that too.
Your friends are like, "What are you doing?"
My friend did do that.
I don't have to stand in the same line.
He did go in the plebeian line, and I was like, "Watch this!" And I just like walked into the gold line and walked right in front of him.
He said, "Excuse me, butler, I would like to buy a popcorn, please."
No, Adam pre-ordered. He's like, Mr. Schwartz, your food is ready. He's like, indeed. Spits on his friend's shoe.
Concessions aside,
clean yourself up. You're bleeding on my floor.
Mr. Schwartz, the marina is out back if you need anything. Your yacht parking is just...
All right, all I did was say I saw a movie twice.
Like, that wasn't like an old bystander that was in the movie with you. That was like the bathroom tenant. He was trying to clean you up because you're A-list.
Oh my god. Anyway, saw this twice. Loved it both times. Thought it was hilarious. Thought it was like really well written, well acted. A tad bit long is like kind of my main critique. I think you could have chopped this down to under 2 hours. And it would have done a little bit of justice on that front. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place at points, and like it definitely the story and the content of the movie, it definitely changes and kind of evolves, and it's a little odd. I get it, but like, man, I just had a blast throughout. I thought it was really fun. Its themes and messages are pretty overt, but doesn't make them any less potent. And I find it fascinating that this was shot 3 years ago, because it feels somehow more relevant today than if it had come out, say, 2 years ago. So that's kind of like a odd twist of fate on that, pushing it to it being released today. But yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised to hear. I've had a few other friends say that they didn't enjoy it. I'm surprised to hear you guys not enjoying it. Tyler, I can understand the whole not enjoying how the book was adapted, but I don't have that to worry about because I didn't read the book. So I don't know. I had a ton of fun with this. Yeah, I can't read. And yeah, I don't know. I highly recommend this. I thought it was fun. This is not necessarily one everybody is going to enjoy, obviously. But man, did I have fun, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, it's more
so
like
I'm gonna recommend this.
It's Idiocracy meets Starship Troopers, maybe.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
It's
But-
got such an odd tone. Like it,
Yeah,
and
but
it
again, like,
flip-flops.
You need to. I feel like anyone that's like confused by the tone should watch Okja and should watch The Host as well too. And I feel like that gives you a better understanding for
I'm sure it would.
this particular director's taste, because like Parasite in some ways is an anomaly. Like it's so tightly wound and so like clockwork almost executed in some ways, where like in other movies, like he is very much kind of more leaning into kind of this maximalist style and class commentary alongside, particularly animal rights is a big kind of like pillar that he comes back to a lot as well too.
Sure.
So yeah, it is interesting to see overall. I can imagine. I have this vision of the Warner Brothers execs being like, okay, Mr. Ho, Mr. Bong Joon-ho, here is $150 million. Please make us a Parasite 2 and make us $1 billion. And he was like, how about I give you something completely different, where the most recognizable star, it has an unrecognizable accent, and everyone's kind of a dick. Thank you for the money.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you
Yeah.
for your business.
if I have to go see it, again
No, like I'm
this
down.
weekend,
Like
'cause-
I'm
Because
kind of
again, I have A-list.
yeah. I
You guys
forgot.
don't know.
You walk on. You drive on tires made of gold.
Yeah.
But
How inefficient.
yeah, just gold streaks everywhere.
Just-
whenever you.
I new tires every day. That
Every
shit's
day,
soft as
yep.
hell. That's just
They just get smaller. Your car shrinks slower.
it gets okay.
You start with a lift kit and you get to a lowrider by the end of the day.
What were you saying? You would go see this again too? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is a fun, wild movie. I think it's odd.
It
I
is,
think it has a
man.
weird sense of humor. I think it has a very strong backbone and ethos throughout it, where like it's not afraid to kind of punch you in the mouth a little bit too. So yeah, I loved it. I had a good time with it. I would like to see more, please.
Agreed on all accounts. Well, there you have it. Kind of a mixed bag on non-spoiler thoughts here. But we'll go ahead and head into spoilers. So if you've not seen Mickey 17 and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead, check that episode description where I've left a timestamp you can jump to, where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie up upon our Entropy list. Spoiler time, Nathaniel.
Shit goes down because there's another Mickey. What? He's Mickey
Multiples.
18. Mickey 18.
Man, I can't
Yeah.
believe you guys didn't like this.
I had
movie.
no idea like this film had to do with like
Clones.
duplicates of people and shit. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? And then like finally you see a scene of the Mickey character. Well, for spoilers for us, I missed probably the first like 10 minutes of this where like I walk in, it's Robert Pattinson and somebody having like a very aggressive sex scene. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's
And then
tough
finally,
that's tough context to miss because first 10 minutes does give a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
What happens in the first 10 minutes then? Because I don't really get up to speed till I see them coming out of the tube thing, and he kind of flops over, and I'm like, oh, they're making clones of people.
Yeah. So
How does it
like
start?
that bit where he falls down the ice and Stephen Yeun comes in and is like, hey Mickey, like see you later, and like leaves him down there, and
He
then
grabs the
flamethrower.
he grabs the
But
flamethrower.
like the little mole dudes then come up and like go over him, and start to take him away.
the creepers.
Yeah, the creepers. Sorry, that's the start of the movie.
Blake
You,
went
like,
in blind.
you almost
Did
get
you
that
see
scene.
trailers at all, Blake?
I didn't see.
Yeah,
any
right,
story
like-
at all.
That's like the main trailer. Is like
Okay.
he's like down in this cavern, and Steve Young comes down and basically like says like, "What's it feel like dying?"
Yeah,
And then like that's kind of like that scene. But it starts out basically with with Mickey falling in like an ice cavern, and
Okay.
Steve Ewan's character coming down, like belaying down like the side of this ice cavern, and basically like saying, I can't reach you, like the cable isn't long enough, but like there's guns in good condition, so I'm just gonna take the gun. So like I'll see you later, bud.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then
And then
then the creepers show up.
flashbacks. Yeah, and then the creepers show up, but then he goes, "All right, well, you're probably wondering kind of how I got here or whatever." And then it kind of
Mhm.
does the flashback. Did you see the flashback to like Earth?
No, so
No.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's why Tyler's macaroon tie. It turns out Steven Yeun's character convinced him to open a macaroon shop back on Earth 4.5 years ago, and
Get a loan shark to get the loan for it.
Yes, they got a loan from like a loan shark. Macaroon shop goes underwater,
Sure.
goes out of business. Loan shark guy threatens to chop him up with a chainsaw, essentially.
Double
and so
chainsaw.
Then he's like,
it's a dual chainsaw.
double chainsaw, dual bladed chainsaw, which is
with
pretty
a
sick.
speaker in the middle of it for some reason.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah. So then he and Steven Yeun are like, all right, well, we got to get off Earth, and so since
Okay.
Robert Pattinson's character doesn't have any skills or unique skills or attributes or anything like
He
that,
signs
his
up.
only option for getting on a colony ship is to sign up to be an expendable, and so that's how
Okay.
he gets off the planet. And
Yeah,
Steven Yeun
I
gets like a
didn't know
pilot's license
any
or
of
something
that.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bold of you
okay.
to
And
bold of you to no watch any. Don't read the book. Don't watch any commercials and miss the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then
So you can see I'm
expect
watching this. I'm like,
to
what the
have
fuck is going on?
any
Yeah,
idea
100%.
what's going on.
Okay.
Wait, so where did you
I
walk?
think
You said he
a lot
walked in
of
during the
people's
sex scene.
Sex scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they also explain how Mark Ruffalo's character is a failed politician who lost his last two election campaigns, and
Now he's basically just like
and
I
has a
forget what they call him in the movie. They call him like a war general or something like that.
I forgot
Commander.
as well.
Commander.
Yeah, I think they call him a commander. But now he's leading this expedition to start a pure human colony or something like that on
Okay.
a faraway planet, and he's essentially a Nazi trying to start an all-white human colony.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, you probably picked up on that part of it.
Yeah, right. And the failed politician makes sense too, because I was like, why the fuck does this guy sound like a politician? Like, you know what I mean?
He
Like,
was a failed
okay,
politician.
for sure.
There's
It's
a
all
line that he lost his last two elections, and now
I've
he's
got you.
trying to lead this expedition.
Yep.
Yeah.
it's all adding up. But
So now
Okay,
you're
so-
higher on recommend. You like the movie more? Not
Yeah. Now we
I
need
mean,
to.
No, probably not.
No.
One of my main things for the book is like there is a ton of ships that are going out and doing this.
Yeah.
So it's not just this one. There is no like we're trying to start an all human colony. Like there is
Right,
none of that
right.
in the book. So I didn't overly care, too much for that portion of it. I understand, the satire being there and kind of that side of things, but that was one of the things that I definitely was just kind of like, this isn't part of this, so I don't care.
Well, it's an odd thing too, because it's very clearly the like Mark Ruffalo character, where like
Sure.
sometimes he will do something or say something and like it is just like a dead ringer for Trump. Like there's no denying
Yeah.
it. Like it just is. It's like he answers or he like responds to a question in a way that you're just like, wow, you're just copying what he's done in an interview or something like that. But then
Kinda.
other times, like you're just like, well, but then he's playing a completely different character as well too, and you're kind of like, okay, I don't know if you can necessarily have it both ways as much as you want to as well.
Yeah, and they flesh him out in the movie to be, so in the book he is kind of like an asshole,
Right.
But he's like more of like the asshole on the fact that like I'm just in charge, not necessarily like I want to
Incompetent
control
and
everything.
in charge.
Yeah, and so it was just again like that kind of like changes the relationship that they have.
Sure.
Because they do have like constructive conversation back and forth in the book, and the ending is really kind of like one of the best parts about the book. in my opinion.
And there is a sequel, we should say as well too, for the book, right?
Yeah. So in the ending of the book, essentially,
Spoilers.
yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of follows the. Do you want me to? I don't have to.
I mean, I will read the book. You gave it to me to
I was
read,
gonna say
so.
I kind of want to read the book.
That's fine. I recommend reading the book. Obviously, but yeah. So the ending confrontation in the book is just is a little bit different. And it sets up for a much happier ending, which obviously I don't care whether it's a happy ending or not, as long as it's a good ending. But this was cool because it is a happy ending, which you don't always get. And it is a good ending, and it leads into the sequel, which is pretty cool. But yeah, just like I said, it just same thing with like I don't even know what they call Steve Young's character in this. I don't, what's his name?
Timo.
Yeah. So it's Berto in the book. And from what I can remember, they don't really meet until they're kind of like already on the ship or briefly before they get on the ship. It's Mickey kind of gets into like this turmoil trying to get off the planet basically by himself.
Got it. Okay.
So there's like just life is shit. He's trying to figure things out and things go south. And so, yeah, he kind of gets all that into himself. So that was kind of another like backstory that I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
Sure.
So, and then there's some relationships in there that don't really happen the way that they happen in the book. Like I said, there is a little bit more with Kat in the book.
Kat,
Kai in the movie. That whole scenario to where they do end up talking is different from the incident that happens.
Sure.
And then the timeline from how long it takes to get to said planet is 9 years, not 4 years, which is kind of one of the minor differences. That's not really a big deal. And then in the book, there's like an actual dome. It's like an actual establishment that they have made.
Is it called Niflheim?
Not necessarily. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, this is where literature helps you, folks. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure Niflheim is the capital.
Nordic.
It's the capital of hell, or something like that as well too. In Paradise Lost.
That could be right. And then what was the ship reference that we were referencing a couple weeks ago?
Ship reference.
Odysseus' ship?
Ship of Theseus.
Ship of Theseus. That comes up in the book, which is why I thought it was very cool that we were kind of talking about that in another kind
context.
Of form. But yeah, he
basically for Mickey.
Kind of exactly. He's referring to himself as the Ship of Theseus, where it's like there's so much more turmoil there for him internally. Like, am I the same person? Am I not the same person? Like, do all the things transfer?
That was definitely one of the things in the movie while watching it that I think broke my suspension of disbelief a little bit, was the like whole concept of like, okay, well, we're updating you every day, but like almost immediately I ran into the thing of like, well, unless you're getting the body back, you're not getting the full Mickey, right? Like there's some points where you have to cut it off.
How is his consciousness continuous throughout all the bodies?
Otherwise, you're just dying and just getting the latest update from the cloud.
Exactly. Your phone didn't update. Yeah.
The main thing is he doesn't remember dying, so he has to rely on somebody all the time to tell him how he died, or see if there's some kind of surveillance video on it, and then he has to continually watch himself die, which again is like psychologically will fuck you up.
Yeah, different.
For sure. And then the other Mickey 18, my biggest gripe was in the book, it doesn't seem like they are in the movie, they're like completely two different people.
Yeah.
And in the book that it doesn't really seem like that. It seems like there's way more compromise there. It seems like there's just way more of likeness between the two of them. Obviously, they they both want to live, so there is, kind of that
Yeah.
turmoil there, but it's not like it's made out to be in the movie.
Yeah, where he's just a psycho.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and then there's no drugs. There's no oxy whatever.
Flamethrower
awful.
juice.
Yeah. Yeah. So that never.
But I thought it was
Blake, your mic's
hilarious when
muted.
the one guy was like, "Listen, a couple drops of oxy before bedtime to go to sleep. I get it. All right,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
okay."
yeah.
With that
100%.
uncut stuff, that's too far. It's just like, oh my god, that's so funny. For like the weed comparisons, like, oh man, a gummy or two before bed to help you sleep, that's all right. But if you're smoking this or that, like, that's too far. Like, oh my god, that was just really, really good line.
Yeah, there's absolutely some comedic timing
Oh,
to
for
this
sure.
movie for sure. Like without a doubt. And I
was-
also I just didn't know it was gonna be that was gonna be that prevalent in the film, per se.
I was cracking up the whole movie.
It is funny.
Both times I saw it. And one, but it was like I saw it with my friends on Saturday, and they were all laughing too. We were all laughing at the same things. It didn't seem like as many people were laughing.
Were you guys doing
and-
oxy?
Yeah,
Pure uncut?
Hella uncut oxy, dude. Pure uncut, only the good stuff. All right, you know me. But then when I saw it with the second time, that there's not nearly as many people like laughing. Like there was a few laughs here and there, but like, dude, I'm laughing constantly in this movie. I thought so much of this was funny, so much of this was satire, and I couldn't tell if I just don't know if enough people understood how comedic I think this film is trying to be. Like I think it's sometimes because of the tone switches so often that it's hard to like keep up, and I don't think enough. Like there are some jokes that people I don't think are taking as jokes, and like they don't play as well because people are trying to like figure out if it is a joke or not, or if the movie's trying to be serious. And if you're not able to decipher where things are at or where the tone is at, like it's hard to pick up on that. But dude, this movie to me is like 90% comedy. And I know it's like, that might seem obvious to some people, but it didn't seem like it to some of the people in the theater. Like there were some lines that just were not getting laughed at that I was dying over.
I think I laughed quite a bit. I'll tell you who
Yeah.
didn't laugh. My wife.
Okay.
She fucking hated this movie.
For sure.
Yeah, it's zero doubt in my mind on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she obviously asked my opinion between the book and the movie. So I spent like 45 minutes talking to her after the movie about the book, and she's like, the book sounds
Mansplaining.
1,000 times better.
Mm-hmm.
I call it booksplaining because books are not gender. Adam,
Yeah.
how dare you give that book
If
a gender?
anything, books are girls.
Facts.
Sure.
They're like ships and lighthouses. They're all girls.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say that may be a double entendre, but that was cool.
All right. I think this movie is really well acted. Robert Pattinson is phenomenal. I
He
did see
is
somewhere-
awesome in this, though. I agree.
I did see somewhere that he could and should win Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars next year, which I think would be hilarious. Never gonna happen because the Oscars will probably just snub this movie entirely.
I'm so happy we have him and he's at the level
my
of
God.
fame where like
Yeah.
he just like does
I'm
not give a
so
fuck and just
glad.
like can just do his shit and like
He's the best. He's my favorite working actor.
he's
hands
so
down at
much
this
fun
point.
right
Like,
now.
I'll see everything and anything that he does.
Like Daniel Radcliffe has like the same energy, but he also is just kind of like he's a little bit more of just like a silly little guy and in a general mood. Robert Pattinson is just like he's like, no, I don't fucking give a shit, but like I'll do whatever interests me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He's really filled a void that I think
yeah.
we've been missing for sure. And he's obviously clearly versatile to go from something where you start like your career in like fucking Twilight to be able to come to be people will
Cedric Diggory.
people will tell you you're going to be one of the greatest Batman. And then you're also in all these other movies. You're acting your ass off, and so yeah.
The one he reminds me of really is Leo, where like you have that early young success heartthrob level, but then like after that you kind of just get to pick whatever you want and just do, weird shit. Like Leo with a bit of like Jim Carrey or Nick Cage in him too. Just
I was gonna say Nick Cage, yeah.
Mark Ruffalo, I think, is fun in this. I know, Nathaniel, you're to your point of like the kind of the switching of the character a little bit. I can definitely see that. And I think he was trying to strike a line of playing
Yeah.
just a dictator while playing off of the Trumpisms, but like not overdoing the Trumpisms too. So
Yeah,
I
100%.
think
Like,
he kind of finds that a little bit.
you
But
definitely don't want to just do like a Trump thing, but like anyone who
Right.
watches the movie is gonna be like, "Yep, that's a Trump character." Like
Right, right.
it's blunt enough that you kind of you don't miss it. But
right.
yeah, no, I think he does a good job. It reminds me a lot of his character in Poor Things as well too. In that kind of same physical zone. Maybe overall, I think he and Toni Collette are really good off of each other.
Yeah, Toni Collette's really great.
Toni Collette's I think is probably maybe the best working actress out there at the moment. Like she's always
awesome
good
in this.
in whatever she's in, and obviously Hereditary I think is like one of the all-time performances in some ways too. Like that's just an incredible, bar none. That lady should have like 3 Oscars already. Like she's awesome in anything.
She's
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that one, and I also think this is one where Mark Ruffalo may have had the most fun on set filming this.
Oh, for
Oh my
sure.
God.
Yeah.
Like you can see it just through his
Ton of
character
fun.
and his lines and his dialogue, his demeanor, facial expressions.
I really like
It was really cool to see.
the dinner with them where you're just like, what the
Oh,
fuck is
great
going
scene.
on? And then you're just
Yeah.
like, and you
Great.
realize that like the steak is like that lab grown meat thing too. And you're just like, yeah, of course they've been on
And
this
it's
ship for like 4 years.
Disgusting. Yeah, it is so, like the way he films it and the sound effects too. It's all like squishy and wet and
Yeah.
it makes it makes like you almost
Gross.
sick like looking at it. He's just scarfing it down. But yeah, that scene they just keep escalating and escalating. It was honestly pretty impressive. And then he pulls out the gun and she's like, "No, not the carpet."
Yeah.
All time delivery by him too, where he addresses the crew at the beginning of the trip and he's like, Toni Collette's character goes, we can't be having sex anymore. Like we're talking to the constable about banning sex, and he goes, "Ugh." And then they have like their sidebar. He's like, "Should I go harder?" She goes, "Yeah, baby, go harder." He goes, "Once we get to Niflheim, we're gonna launch the greatest sex encouragement campaign you've ever seen." It was so good. That's where I think I bought into the movie at that point, where I'm like, this is hilarious and this is great. Because from there on, I was like, this is awesome. But yeah, man, I don't know. I just had such a fun time in this movie. It's such an interesting concept too. Interesting to do kind of the body double thing, which has been happening. It's kind of been a trend the past year. I feel like there's been a few doppelganger body double movies in the past year or so. Not necessarily a bad thing or anything like that, but I think it's interesting. Yeah, I think they do have an interesting take on it. I would appreciate a little bit more context of the, like, as you were saying before, just kind of like the logistics of how that kind of thing works. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a movie and there's got to be some kind of suspension of disbelief. I'm sure, to Tyler's point, like I think if you want more of that, go read the book, which like I do want more of that. I plan on reading the book, but like, yeah, if you're concerned about that kind of thing, I think the book probably gives you more of a idea of like how that kind of stuff works and probably has better rules for it and that kind of thing. But man, I just had a blast. Like, what a fun movie.
Yeah. Let's rank it.
Nathaniel can give you the book after he's done with it, so that way you don't have to buy a copy, and then it'll make its way back towards me at some point. The other thing too, real quick, before we rank this bad boy, I don't remember the church being such a big thing in the book.
You mean the company?
Yes. It's more or less just it's mentioned that there are quite a few people, and I want to say it's called like an annihilist or something like that. I can't remember the exact term they use in the book, but it's essentially people who think that duplication is just like an abomination. Like it's not your soul anymore. It's just not, it shouldn't even be there.
The Lord gives us the 1-to-1 unit ratio. Oh my God. Dying laughing, bro. Oh, this movie's so good.
So yeah. But yeah, it's really not talked about as like anybody that's like backing the whole portion of like, getting to the planet, and like that's not the reason they're going there. So, but it's
All
cool.
right. Rank it.
It should be banned, but I found a goal for our common economic benefit. So fucking funny. All right, I'll stop quoting lines from this movie and just keep quoting them to myself in the mirror later, I guess. Welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're gonna go ahead and throw up Mickey 17 up upon our Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you want to reference the Entropy for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description where it is linked to my Letterboxd. Okay. For context, Parasite, Bong Joon-ho's last film, is at 27, which, if you know anything about the Entropy list, is pretty darn high when you look at all the movies that we have on here. Man, oh man.
I got a spot.
Spot it
Yeah.
up, dude.
Where are you going?
I'm going to go. 87. Below Glass Onion and above The Gentleman. And you know how much I love The Gentleman. I like The Gentleman quite a bit. Glass Onion was the other satire-esque movie that kind of came to mind immediately. It's going to be below Top Gun Maverick, Pig, Knight's Tale, Inside Out 2. But we are going to be above things like Bullet Train, Coherence, Tokyo Drift. Yeah, I think it just slots in nicely there. I don't feel like I would have it. Yeah, I can't see it going too much lower. Like, we're kind of into the next tier not long after that. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I expect it to move up and down possibly a bit. But for me, 87 below Glass Onion, above The Gentleman.
Decent spot. I do have mine.
Okay, what are you thinking?
I'm looking at 68, below Civil War, above Suzume. I think Civil War, Gone Girl, Nope, John Wick, Long Legs, Conjuring, Nosferatu. Like, holy crap, dude! Like, those are incredible.
Was that,
movies, and everything above that is great too.
Was that Suzume or was that Suzume?
It depends if you're watching the sub or the dub, probably. I mean,
yeah, right.
but yeah, 68 for me. I think that's a perfect spot because I do obviously love the movies below it, but and Civil War is like that hard cap, or like that's a string of movies. It's hard for things to get past a lot. So yeah, 68 for me.
Much lower for the next two.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if I'm much lower. Because
now
originally,
that Blake has context for the beginning of the
show,
now that he's going for the top,
he has
10.
the full
I've got a
story.
new
The
outlook.
whole thing. What Zack Snyder took an hour and a half to do with Justice League.
yeah.
Only
So
took the first 10 minutes.
right, dead ass, bro. So like originally looking at it, what I compared it to immediately off the top of my head was Bullet Train. Of like some comedic timing.
Yeah.
There's how else can I put into it? There's also a story that has like multiple layers to it per se. A lot of characters involved. Granted, this one is Robert Pattinson just with multiple characters per se, opposed to a larger genuine cast. But I think that's one I kind of compared it to immediately, and so I'm looking at that, bouncing around that area. I see Paid in Full at 98. I see District 9, which is one I actually really like a lot.
Sure.
Also has aliens involved. I think I'm closer to that area. I think I'm honestly I'm gonna go 102. So I will go below Blade. all-time classic. I'm sorry, fellas. Super classic.
Nope.
And then it'll be above Frozen 2, but fall ultimately below Blade, below District 9, below Nightmare Alley, below Paid in Full, Weathering with You, Doctor Sleep, Terminator, fucking classic. You know, so it's
justified.
Fair ranking, yeah.
Tyler?
Yeah, I also saw basically that cluster. Blade was a big one for me. Predator, Reign of Fire, and then the next line, the Rebel Ridge, Pinocchio, La La Land, Fablemans. Those are that's like a grouping of 4 movies that I don't know when the next time I'm gonna watch them is. But then you do have Bad Boys, Descent, War over Hiram, Malignant, Barbarian. So there's a lot of movies. I mean, fucking Ninja Turtles, dude. That we're obviously passionate about. So I'm kind of in the same ballpark. I'm willing to sacrifice some of those lower ones to get this thing up a little bit because I don't think it's terrible. I think it's just going to be super hard to find the right audience for this. I guess, or at least the audience and the masses.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be below Reign of Fire, above Rebel Ridge, so I'm going to be at 105.
You're
105. All right. Pretty spread ranking there. Nothing too crazy. But after all of that, we have an average rating of 90.5. So that means we'll put it below.
Where's that put us?
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, above Redline.
Okay.
Red line.
I mean, I should go below Redline, but
Nay. I do love Redline though, don't get me wrong.
Redline is dope.
Don't take that as Redline hate. That is just Mickey 17 love. All right.
yeah, kind of sounds like Redline hit.
No, it's not.
Well, but it does.
Don't worry, Adam. You can just use this year. You can use your Entropy-less revision on this.
I mean, yeah, once you rewatch it and you get the full context.
yeah, right.
You might agree to move it up for me.
It's funny that you say that. We were talking about one of those movies and trying to move Pan's Labyrinth down, and he said he would have your vote, but I said, nay, sir, you will never get mine and Nathaniel's
I know.
vote. So
Yeah.
it
True.
will stay.
We were talking about those, and I was like, I'd love to move that down, but that's never gonna happen.
You also said you need to
have
rewatch
the
it.
majority.
It's at number 4, dude.
Don't roll your eyes at that. I seen that. You got a
I
camera
do
on.
owe it a rewatch. Don't get me wrong.
You do owe
but,
it a rewatch.
But that movie is
Especially now
so
that like
high.
you're older and
Yeah.
more mature. You have a
Yeah.
film
I'm an
brain
A-list.
Yeah.
now. You do have A-list. Yeah.
Can't wait for it to
You've
blow your
grown,
mind.
dude. Your frontal lobes completely developed.
You
You
won't-
have like better decision making
Almost.
now.
We're getting there.
You won't
Yeah,
even
I'm not
have to
quite-
watch it
quite
with
25 yet.
subtitles on. You just speak the language of cinema now.
Mm.
True.
So cinema speaks Spanish? Is that it?
No,
In
if you
some
speak
parts
the
of the world,
language,
Yeah, right. In some countries, effectively, yes. Adam. The entire world does not speak English.
if you speak the language,
Contrary to popular belief.
if you speak movie, you can understand any movie, any language. It's the language
Like
of images,
what they
bro.
say about like music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I wanted to chime in on the A-list joke here. So I saw my parents over the weekend. Was one Haley's out here, then we saw my parents as well. So my dad retired.
Oh,
So we
congrats,
went
Dad.
out to
Hey,
lunch for my
congrats.
dad. Yeah, shout out Pops. And then he was talking. Then he was like, "You know what? I think I'm gonna get A-list because like I don't know what."
Hell
the fuck I'm
yeah.
gonna do." So
Hell yeah.
What the fuck else?
I watched my dad set up A-list on Sunday.
Princess
so,
Mononoke.
Yeah,
That was
Armin.
awesome. Yeah, tell
and
him
he
to
set
come
up
out.
A-list. Yeah. So
Hey, my Papa Schwartz is A-list, and I'm not going with him as much these days. So
Yeah.
so tell him to hit
Second
him up and
There it
Back
is.
Row Banter spinoff. The
Yeah.
dads. First episode.
there it is.
First
Yeah.
spinoff. The
There it is.
wives.
So I told him to go watch Mickey 17. So we'll see if he gets to it. I'll probably shoot him a text sometime this week, right, and see what he says.
I let him know I'll go see it with him if he wants.
For sure.
The dad
We can
episode,
entourage. We
have,
can book tickets together. you
Yeah.
know?
The dad episode. We're gonna have to find an extra mic because I have 2
Yeah, I was
dads.
gonna say.
We'll make it work. We just got to throw on like an 80s action joint.
Greyhound.
You know what I
That
mean?
Tom Hanks submarine movie from a few years ago. Ultimate dad flick.
My dad did like that movie.
I don't even know what that is.
We
Was that the
talked.
Apple TV joint?
Yeah. We talked about doing it.
Yeah.
We were gonna do that the week we did Green Room, but then
Thank
Nathaniel couldn't get
We
Apple
did Green
TV
Room
on his
over that.
Sony TV, so we had Pivot. And then he's like, "Have you seen this movie?" And I was like, "No." You guys, all right, we're gonna watch it, and that became the review for the week.
One of
Simpler
the
times.
greatest pivots in movie
Yeah,
and
honestly.
sports history,
Yeah, right.
without a
Exactly.
doubt. Yeah.
Well, that's it for our review of Mickey 17. Next week's review will be on the movie Underwater.
Underwater.
Kind of harkening
Kristen
back
Stewart.
to that last breath review
Yeah.
from earlier. Yes,
We're
Kristen
going-
Stewart.
We're going back to back Twilight cast in different
True.
Yo, I didn't
Former
think about that. That's
relationship.
crazy.
There
I
it
know.
is.
That's nuts.
Pandemic film, by the way, too, fellas. Underwater is a
Pandemic film.
pandemic film. Or pre-pandemic. I want to
Yeah,
say
it was like-
January or February
It was
2020.
January 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right before
Right
the
on.
world effectively ended.
Yep.
Twilight
As-
cast.
as we know
Where
it.
are they
No,
now?
no community
Yeah.
note on that one, Blake.
Yeah.
None on that.
End of Oppenheimer plays in the background.
Yeah, right. That's Underwater is streaming on Hulu. You can go check that out and then join us for our review of that next week. Folks, we're long on time here, so we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys.
Please
Hold on. There's one what we're watching I got to get to.
What is it?
Has anyone seen The Pit yet?
I have
No.
not.
You're in a pit, but also
You're
Pit.
up at-
it's on HBO Max. It would be
Okay.
perfect for all of our partners to watch with us too. Like it's
Okay.
like the spiritual successor to ER. It's literally
Okay.
every episode is 1 hour in the day of the of like this of an ER shift. So it starts at 7 a.m. and then that's episode 1, and then 8 a.m. or episode 2 is 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and that kind of thing. But it's
Okay.
just
Yeah, I
all-
gotcha. Yeah.
It's all these doctors learn it, or like it's a teaching hospital. So like not only are you learning like as well too, but like they're teaching people on there. And then it's just
Mhm.
an emergency room, and you're just seeing people come in and come out, and like all the different like chaos that happens in their day, drama, all that stuff. It's like crack. I've watched like 7 episodes in the last 2 days. Like it's awesome. It's so good.
Dang. 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.6 on
Dude,
IMDb.
The
Oh,
Pit
wow. All right.
fucking rules. Yeah, it's real good.
We'll
Check
do
it out.
We'll add it.
We're in a pit.
We're in a pit.
It's Brad
all right.
Pitt.
Thank you for
Sorry.
the tip, sir. All right. Please share the podcast, share with a friend, a family member, maybe yourself. I don't know. And while you're doing that, follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, Instagram, we're Back Row Banter Pod. Our YouTube is just Back Row Banter, and if you want to send us an email, you can do so at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Tyler Dallas, where can the people find you at, my man?
You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, and X, all Tyler Vidalis, Vidales. Nathaniel.
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at NSGameCrick. You can find me on Instagram, Nathaniel G92. For the next week, I'll be watching The Pit. So, catch me out there watching that. Highly recommend. Adam?
You can find me on Twitter at H24, on Letterboxd at H, and I think that's all I plug these days. I don't know. I don't really use Blue Sky right now. Maybe I should. But yeah, you can find me there. I've been rating movies on Letterboxd at a consistent clip, so check me out there. Blake, get us out of here.
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder, being on there, logging some things, rate them out of 5 stars. PSN, Mr. Watercoolers, Xbox, Mr. Watercoolers. Still playing Mortal Kombat. They just had the trailer for the T1000 come out for MK1. That's from the infamous T2. Robert Patrick restores his role. He does the voice acting for
Nice.
the MK character, and he looks really dope. So saw some gameplay on that today. But that's all we got. Appreciate the support and the love. We'll BRB.
ready for another lesson?
Adam was concerned we weren't even gonna be able to record last week because I was just digging into Justin. I was like, I'll be fine. He's like, I know.
Dude, before
I'm like,
pod,
I
man,
know
it
how to
was-
turn it on and off. And
things
he's
were
like, I
flying.
know, but we've never recorded with your brother before, so I don't know. And I'm like, we're good.
I can
The
see
insults
that.
were flying last week. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you have fun.
I had a great time.
Yeah, a hilarious bit where one Flying Lotus is a guy, not a collective. He is an individual. He's also a musician. So shout out Ryan Foley on that. You should all check out Flying Lotus's album "You're Dead," and also Kuzo. He's also got a new one coming out called Ash, which looks cool as well. So yeah, shout out Foley on that one. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about Climax the movie on pod before. I think I watched it while we were on pod, but it's definitely in a what we're watching at one point.
That sounds right. I believe it.
But yeah, Foley has excellent taste. Justin thinks he's a bigger Jurassic Park fan than I am, but you know.
Yeah, there was no shot.
I didn't watch it.
Dude, I'm like
Very
tripping
tough.
balls right now. There's like a high pitched noise, and I don't know where it's coming from.
Maybe it's my fan.
No, there's no way. It's like not in these headphones. It's 100%.
You might have schizophrenia, my guy.
Yeah, like I might be tripping balls right now, fellas. So we'll see.
If at any point a small child laughs, let us know, and
Yeah,
we'll call a priest and a psychologist.
that's so weird.